FIFA promised the biggest and most spectacular World Cup in football history. 48 teams, 3 host nations, millions of fans, and a tournament that was supposed to unite the entire world through the beautiful game. But within just a few days of kickoff, that dream started to fall apart. Instead of unforgettable football moments, the headlines were dominated by ticket scandals, travel chaos, empty seats, controversial refereeing decisions, and growing criticism from fans across the globe. What was meant to be a celebration quickly turned into a series of embarrassing controversies that FIFA simply could not escape. So how did the most ambitious World Cup ever created become such a disaster before the first round was even finished? Let's break down everything that went wrong. FIFA sold the world a dream. The biggest World Cup ever created. 48 nations competing across 3 host countries in what was supposed to be the most ambitious football tournament in history. For years, fans were promised a celebration unlike anything the sport had ever seen. Every trailer looked spectacular. Every presentation felt revolutionary. Every speech from FIFA executives painted the picture of a tournament that would unite the world through football. It was supposed to be a summer of unforgettable moments, a festival of passion, culture, and competition. But when the tournament finally began, reality looked very different. Within days, the dream started falling apart. The first round of the World Cup became one of the most chaotic openings the competition has ever experienced. Instead of talking about great goals and historic performances, fans found themselves discussing controversies. Instead of celebrating football, the headlines became dominated by problems. And the worst part was not a single incident. It was the fact that so many disasters seemed to happen all at once. Even before the opening match, the tournament was already generating negative attention. For some people, the World Cup ended before it even began. Reports emerged of officials, players, and members of football delegations facing serious travel complications. What should have been a smooth arrival process quickly turned into a source of frustration and confusion. The World Cup is supposed to bring people together from every corner of the planet. Instead, stories about immigration issues and travel restrictions began dominating conversations before the first whistle had even blown. Fans expecting excitement were instead greeted by controversy. The focus had already shifted away from football and toward problems that FIFA appeared unable to control. Then came the issue that affected supporters directly. Ticket prices. World Cups have never been cheap, but this tournament seemed to push costs to an entirely new level. Fans who had attended previous tournaments could hardly believe the numbers they were seeing. Prices climbed higher and higher, while many ordinary supporters found themselves completely priced out. For generations, football has been viewed as the people's game. It belongs to workers, families, students, and communities. The World Cup was always supposed to be the ultimate celebration of that spirit. Yet many supporters felt they were being excluded from the very event they had spent years dreaming about attending. Anger grew rapidly as fans accused FIFA of turning football into a luxury product rather than a global celebration. The frustration only intensified when stories emerged of supporters losing tickets they believed had already been secured. Imagine planning your entire trip months in advance, booking flights, reserving hotels, taking time off work, and counting down every day until kickoff. Then suddenly receiving an email informing you that your tickets were no longer valid. For many supporters, this nightmare became reality. Confusion quickly turned into outrage as people struggled to understand how such situations could occur at the biggest football tournament on Earth. The feeling among many fans was simple. If even those who managed to buy tickets were not guaranteed entry, then something was seriously wrong, as if pricing controversies were not enough. Another problem soon appeared on television screens around the world. Empty seats. For any major sporting event, empty sections inside a stadium create a terrible image. For a World Cup, they are even more damaging. This was supposed to be the most in-demand tournament in history. Fans had been told that demand was unprecedented and that tickets were harder to obtain than ever before. Yet viewers watching at home could clearly see visible gaps throughout certain stadiums. The images spread rapidly across social media and immediately raised questions. If demand was truly historic, then why were there empty seats? If supporters were desperate to attend, then why were sections sitting unoccupied? FIFA offered explanations, but the visual damage had already been done. Once millions of people see empty seats during a World Cup, it becomes incredibly difficult to convince them otherwise. The football itself should have provided an escape from all the negativity. Instead, controversy followed the matches onto the pitch. Refereeing decisions quickly became major talking points. Debates over red cards and disciplinary actions dominated discussion programs and social media feeds. Every controversial call seemed to generate another argument. Every argument created another headline. Supporters became increasingly frustrated as football discussions turned into endless debates about officiating rather than performances. The opening stages of the tournament felt less like a celebration of the sport and more like a constant cycle of controversy. Technology was supposed to help solve these problems. Modern football relies heavily on systems designed to improve fairness and eliminate mistakes. Yet during the first round, technology became part of the story itself. A disputed offside decision triggered widespread confusion when the visual evidence fans expected to see never appeared. Broadcasters struggled to explain what had happened. Supporters demanded answers. Analysts questioned the process. The absence of clear communication allowed speculation to spread rapidly. Instead of increasing confidence, technology ended up creating even more uncertainty. Once again, the conversation moved away from football and toward another controversy. Even scheduled breaks during matches became a source of debate. FIFA introduced mandatory hydration breaks across the tournament. Officially, the decision focused on player welfare and safety. However, many supporters believed there was another motivation. Critics argued that the interruptions disrupted the natural flow of football while creating additional opportunities for broadcasters and advertisers. Whether those accusations were fair or not, they reflected a growing perception among fans that commercial interests were beginning to overshadow the sport itself. Football supporters are extremely protective of the traditions and rhythm of the game. Anything that appears to place business ahead of football often receives immediate backlash. The controversy continued when one of football's biggest stars found himself at the center of another heated debate. What should have been a discussion about an incredible performance